Coming up on this episode of the Spiro Podcast.
You don't necessarily need to move your average order value a whole lot to add up to a lot of money. So for example, let's just do it with big numbers because it's more fun. So for us at WOW, we're going to do 12,000. We're going to do over 12,000, but let's use the 12,000 and say at the end of the year, we've increased our average order value by $3. That same $3, Craig, for every one of those shoots. That's $3 times 12,000 shoots. The quick math on that is $36,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And you know what that is? That's about pure profit.
Welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. Spiro is a software platform designed to help you manage your day-to-day business and really help you scale it as well. Glad to have you on here. I'm Craig Magrum, host of the podcast. And as always, each and every week, my partner in crime, the other half of the dynamic duo. What other terms can I come up with that relate to Batman, Todd? Todd is the Batman.
Well, thank you for that, Craig.
If only I could get you to say, I'm Batman.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good. Was that? That's Will Arnett.
I don't know. I'm not that social or.
He's the Lego guy. The Lego Masters. You watch that with your kids.
Yeah.
And that's Will Arnett. That's the only reason I know.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that voice because I have this summer cold. So you guys, I apologize for any roughness. But yeah, welcome to Todd, owner and founder of Spiro. It's another week, Todd.
Yes, it is. Good to see everybody here. We're winding down in the year. We're getting later in the year. So this is fun new topics, things we're thinking about, ways to impact your business. And it's just good to have you on here today. As always, we love your questions. We had an episode last week that was just devoted to your questions. And you can email us those questions, hello@spiro.media. We love to hear from you. No questions too big or too small. No question's a bad question. Please ask it. And we would love to bring value. And if we can't, we're going to go find an expert to bring some value. And always looking for guests as well. So we're going to pick back up our owner spotlight series here. And that's where we want to feature you. So if you have started and begun to scale or have scaled a real estate media company and have a story to tell, what cooler thing than the community to teach the community. So again, you can email us at that same email address, hello@spiro.media.
There you go. And speaking of Q&A, Todd, yesterday, we record this podcast on Fridays. So yesterday, on the 5th of September, you held the very first Spiro Tech Talk, Todd's Tech Talks on Facebook Live.
Yes, I did. So we are starting to do that Tech Talks with Todd on our Spiro super user group. I'm going to do that the first and third Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. So that's just a time where we want you to come and hang out. We talked a good amount of tech, some Spiro questions, some what's coming up, and then just some real estate. Hey, I need to hire someone. What would you do in this case or that case? It was really fun. So please hang out with us if you can. You can always rewatch it as well. But that's on the Spiro Super User Facebook group. And the goal for that is that I just want to make sure that I'm connected to all of you. So as we scale, and you'll go through the same thing with your business. As you start your business, you get to spend time with the initial people that use you, that are your clients. And then as those clients grow, you spend a little less time. And then as your clients grow, you begin to not even know some of your clients, and you try not to forget about any clients. And I don't want to forget about any of you all. Now, I've done it enough in the past, and I've tried before to think that I won't forget anybody, then know that I can't keep up with everybody. It's why we're building a team. We have a great team, but also why I wanted to put this time down, because I just want you to come and hang out with me. You can ask any question. I'm going to take them right from there. It's going to be me and you guys. And I just want that time with you guys to make sure I really understand what you're going through, how you're growing your business, how you're using the software. I feel like we have a pretty good beat on it because our real estate media uses it every day. But I want to know how you use it as well. So that just helps me connect with all of you, allows you a platform to get straight to me. And it was super enjoyable. So the first and third Thursday of the month at 4:30 Eastern on the Spiro Super User Facebook group.
Yeah, excellent. And speaking of engagement, there's also an opportunity if you've never seen Spiro or you're curious to learn a little bit more about it and get a demo. Our very own Nick Kellis is doing online demos on a Zoom call every first and third Wednesday of the month at 4:30 Eastern. And Todd, how can they sign up to get on a demo?
Yeah, for that, we're going to send you just our demo link, our demo Zoom link. So just email us, hello@spiro.media, or just in the pink chat bubble. Our team knows. They'll get that over to Shannon, and Shannon will get you the link, and we'll get that out to you all so that you have that link and can participate with that. Just one small correction there, Craig. Nick's going to be on every Wednesday. So every Wednesday at 4:30 Eastern. Just checking it here. Sorry, I should have. Yeah, every Wednesday. So if you are just signing up, or if you haven't signed up, or if you want to see a little bit more about it, you're headed into a point of the year now that you need to examine your business. And if that's a gap in your business, and if you're wondering like, hey, I'd love some of these tools that you talk about that you use to run and scale your business, that we do over 12,000 shoots a year. Now is becoming a good time. So we have people there for you. I've known Nick Kellis for a very long time. He's a good friend of mine and also is helping me grow Spiro. So that is every Wednesday at 4:30 Eastern. Just email hello@spiro.media or the pink chat bubble. Or if you send a smoke signal, we will try to pick it up. And if you do something on shortwave radio, Craig is going to pick it up. He's going to send you the link. I don't even know if that term was correct. Is it shortwave, Craig?
No, it's ham radio, amateur radio. But
shoot,
now I really do feel like a nerd.
Darn, I missed that one, but
I played some ham radio at the camper this weekend. It's
nice,
fun. Yeah, going to a ham fest. Yes, that's a thing.
Yes,
it's like a flea market for ham radio operators. Going to that in Findlay this Sunday. So,
I might have to meet you up there.
I think you should. I think you would have an absolute ball, Todd. I'll show you all around.
I'll have to look at my schedule. It'll be kind of fun. I don't know if I can actually. I would love to make it. Let's document this and let's do a video of our ham interaction on Friday. It's in Findlay on Sunday.
A lot of people are like, is ham radio even still a thing? There's people that actually still do that. And actually, yes, it's growing, believe it or not. There's all sorts of, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. Never mind. Let's get back on topic. All right. So Tech Talks with Todd. Make sure you join us for that on Facebook. We got Spiro demos every Wednesday with Nick Kellis. You can email us or click the pink chat bubble. And it's getting to be conference season, Todd. What's going on the conference scene?
It sure is. So in November, there are conferences, and I'm excited about them. So the rep team, so Eli Jones and his team, they're putting on a conference. This is in November, and it's November. Sorry, I have to look at my board on my calendar. It is November 15th and 16th. So they did have a 14th availability. They've sold out of that. That's just the mastermind, but there's still fabulous content on the 15th and 16th of November. You can find out more information at replaunch.com/rep2024. So Craig's going to put that in the show notes. My earbud just messed up, so sorry for messing with that. But this is a great time, in all seriousness, to invest back in yourself. And not only from an investment standpoint of learning, but just allowing yourself to relax a bit. I'll be the first to say that I do not enjoy Vegas. Okay. I just don't enjoy Vegas. It is neat to go and see. I like the lights. You hide your eyes as you walk through some of those corners, or you need some bleach for them afterwards.
Right.
But it is neat to see. And you're going to go to a room of 200-300 people that do what you do. Okay. So all of your stories, your horror stories, your success stories, your jokes, they'll work in this room because they understand you. And Craig and I went, so 3 years ago, we just started going, and Craig went with me that first year. Mm-hmm. And Craig, what was just your take on just the community of those individuals in a room and we connect together?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's exactly what you said, sharing the stories, realizing you're not alone. This industry, this work that we do, a lot of times it feels like we're the only ones doing it and we're alone and we don't have any support. But yeah, there's a huge community of other real estate media professionals that you walk away with new ideas, things that you haven't thought about, new challenges, new ways to approach your business, of how to care for your clients. It's a great brainstorming session, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. So give it a look. Check it out in the link below. It is worth your time. I'm going to be speaking at the event. Myself, Shannon, Nick, we're all going to be there. And then the cool thing is some of my leaders from WOW. So Steve and Jess are going to be there as well. Some of you have gotten to know them and they are fabulous. So we're all going to come. We're going to be there. Eli, his whole team's going to be there, and they have a fabulous lineup of speakers. And these are speakers that have done what you are doing or are trying to do. So it's really cool to see. They'll have the stories of saying, hey, I started a year ago and I'm doing $40K a month, or I started 2 years ago and I'm doing $20K a month. And this was my path and my journey. Need to be a part of and a fun time there. So mark it on your calendar again, November 15th and 16th.
All right. Excellent. So check it out, the Rep Conference, Eli Jones. And in future episodes, we'll talk about another couple of conferences as well. So keep listening and watching.
Yeah, keep listening and watching. Just there's a conference right before, and we can just say, so PMRE, if you want to find it, is just before. So if you're going to go to both. We're going to both. And, so buy your plane ticket coming in the 12th and just stay for both of them. But we're going to talk more about that next week. Right. And we'll give you some more goodies from that.
Right. All right. Well, let's dive into it, Todd. This week's episode might be a little bit shorter, but I think some really good information. So every Friday morning we have a staff meeting, and Todd always opens with asking us for our wins. So I jumped in there this week and shared a couple of what I thought were just small wins. And the main part of it was that on site, I upsold two of my clients a drone package, drone photos and videos, because the properties warranted it and they didn't have it on their order. And so we want to talk about the power of upselling and how much of an impact even just a couple of quote unquote small upsells can really impact your business.
So Craig, let me set this up a little bit, and then we're going to pick your brain with how you do this, because you're so elegant at doing this and you do it at the right time. So you are at a property, and we've all done it, and we get to the property and we see that we're shooting something that's less than what we feel as though would properly market the property. So for this, let's say you're doing photos and video, and you see that this property is quite expansive and it has a story to tell from the air. And you see that we're not shooting drones. So you pull up and you start to assess this. What's going through your head? So you pull up, you're in Spiro, you check in the photographer portal, you look at what you're going to shoot. Can you just start to run us through some of your thought waves there?
Yeah. So the first example this week, this listing that I came up to, it was actually the realtor's own home, which is always a little bit of a pressure situation, because you want to do you always want to do your best work, right? But especially when it's the realtor's own home, you really want to, pardon the pun, wow them with the visual marketing that you're providing them. So I pull up, gorgeous house, nice big house and big property. And I had looked at the property on Google Maps. A lot of times I do that before I got there, and I saw that there was a pool in the back and that it was a large property. So I was already thinking, I'm going to suggest this. So I start talking with the realtor, and she said, yeah, they've got I think they have 7 kids, so they have to upsize their home.
Okay.
in talking with her, she said, yeah, we're going to hate to leave this place. We just sunk, I think it was like $13,000 in their backyard in this pool area. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, we've got to do drone. So I said to her, I said, zero pressure, because I don't like high pressure sales. I don't see this as sales. I see it as consulting. So when I consult as their visual marketing expert, because I'm part of her team, right? This is actually a team real estate situation. And she's a relatively new agent. I think this is only her second listing she's had. So I approached it as consulting. So there's no pressure. I'm going to make a suggestion to you, whether you do it or not, that's up to you. But here's my why. And I said, and I never try to push anything, but you've already told me that you've had several inquiries, people curious about the property. So I don't doubt that you're going to be able to sell this property. It's going to sell. This is an amazing property. So my suggestion is not to help you sell the property, but I want to help you build your brand further and give you some visual marketing that you can show future potential clients what you can do for them. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay. I said, my suggestion is you've got to do some drone on this. I don't know if I said got to, because then that is high pressure. I don't think I said it that way, but I said, my suggestion would be, let's do some aerial photos and video to really show off that backyard pool area that you just invested a lot of money into, and showcase how big this property is, get some nice, different aerial views. Again, just to build your brand and show future clients what you can do for them. She goes, her eyes widened a little bit. You can read body cues. So her interest was piqued. She said, well, how much is that? I said, as an add-on to what you've already done with your photos and videos, it's X amount. And you can see it. She's turning it over in her mind. I said, no pressure. Just let me know. I'll go ahead and get going. She goes, nope, just do it. So it was that simple. And I don't do that on a regular basis, especially if the property doesn't warrant it. I'm not going to sell services just to sell services. But if I think it's going to help their brand and help them sell the property, I'm going to suggest it and keep it really low key.
Yeah, no, that's great, Craig. So just a couple of questions of what you said there. So one thing that you mentioned was you didn't really sell her on the need to do it for this property, to sell this listing. Why do you take that approach of, or how do you see that helps by expanding that a little bit out and seeing that they have maybe more value in it?
Right. Because I heard her say, and her son say, they'd already had several inquiries into the property. Okay. So there's already interest in it. It was only in, I think, coming soon. So it's also in a suburb of my market that is a hot market. A lot of people like to move there. So I just knew the property is going to sell regardless of whether they had drone or not. So acknowledging that and letting them know, hey, I heard what you just said. You've already got interest in the property. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. You don't need this to sell the property. However, I also know she's a new realtor and I want to help her build a strong business. So then I offered the alternate of why this would be good in helping her build her brand.
So I think that all comes back to features and benefits of your services. And if you're only thinking that your features and benefits connect to one listing, selling the listing, you're missing it a bit, because that's a small part of the picture. Now, I can remember years ago where that was the big part of the picture, where it was so easy to get listings. So back in 8, 9, 10, like, realtor, you didn't want another listing. It's like, I've already got way too many of them. I need someone to buy one of them. So some of this is understanding the market. And right now, what agents really want is they need those listings because there's not a lot of listings. So you have to understand your market a little bit and know where the need's at. So your features and benefits, they change a little bit over the years. And you have to mold them to be relevant to today's market. And in today's market, Craig did a fabulous job listening. That's where a lot of the sale is made, in listening. Understanding that, hey, they've already got a lot of attention on this property. Like, they don't really need it. They don't need drone to sell it. But I know that this agent would love to get another listing like this. It's a high... how did you describe that, the location? It was just a hot location.
Yeah.
So it's a location where agents would love to get a listing. And one thing that you have to remember is agents, like when they put that sign in the yard, like they kind of put that thing in and they kind of brush it off their shoulder. Like, yeah, I got it. I got this. You know, like it's a competition. Mm-hmm. Like they compete and they're like, I can't wait for other agents to drive by that property. They see my name in the yard, or they hit the MLS, they see new listings and they see that I got that one. I know there's an agent that lives 7 houses down. So this is their neighbor and I got it. Like, so there's some of that in it. And it's just the way the market is. I mean, we're all competitive, right? Like if you were to get an agent that was using a different photographer, you'd be excited about it, right? Like you're trying to get business in all fairness. Like if you have better value, better feature benefits. So you have to understand what the agent is selling and what's important in those features and benefits of your services.
Right.
Craig, just a few technicals here. So just the first thing that popped up is so you're offering drone, which could be restrictive to a couple things. One, that you actually have your drone in the car.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so if you are only taking your drone in the car when you have a drone appointment, please start putting the thing in the car.
Yeah.
Would you? I mean, you have a value, and you have. I mean, yes. Could your car get broken into? Could it get stolen? Yes. Put it in the trunk. Like, don't leave a drone open in the front seat. But would you say it's worth taking your drone to every appointment, Craig?
No brainer.
Okay.
No brainer.
Cool.
Yeah, because if you don't look at the property beforehand on Google Maps or whatever, you don't know what you're walking into necessarily. And you might see something that the realtor didn't think about.
Perfect. And then, okay, so as far as the other restriction that came to the top of my head with drone was the fact that you can't fly everywhere with no fly zones. How do you go about that? Because you hate to suggest it and then go, oh, wait a minute, I can't take off.
Well, that's why you should try and research your properties before you show up. That way you can look at the air map and see, are you in a Class C, a Class B airspace? Know what your altitude limits are. Obviously, you need your Part 107 license from the FAA. You want to be as ready as you can. And if you happen to not do that research before you get there, at the very least, before you would suggest it to the realtor, pull open your air map app or something and just look before you open your mouth. You don't want to look dumb after you suggest it. Oh, wait a minute. I can't fly here. I can't get a Lance approval or whatever.
Yeah. Because then you got to talk your way. You look kind of dumb there with suggesting something that they can't. Now you've gotten them excited about getting it. Now you can't get it to them. So, and is it safe to say, Craig, as you start to photograph in your area, you look up these addresses a lot. You begin to understand where your airports are at, where your no-fly. Now, I know there could be a NOTAM for the day, but the idea of that something specific shutting down is a smaller exception. But would you say that's fair that you start to understand your airspace? Yeah.
And if you're questionable, like, the Class C airspace around the airport in my market, there's parts of, certain suburbs that are in that zone and there's parts that are not. So you just look up the address and it'll pinpoint it on the map directly for you. It's easy.
What app are you doing with that?
So I use the Air Map app. Let me just make sure it's double check. Yeah. Or no, I'm sorry. It's called Air Control is that app I use. Yeah. And it's super easy. You just type in the address. It puts a pin on the map. It shows you the airspace you're in. And you can apply for Lance approval directly in that app. And a lot of times you can get it right away, but I would suggest at least a day before get that approval.
Well, that's nice. I'm showing my age here, but I remember the times you had to use, you had to find who was at the tower. You would call the tower. There's an old school phone at the tower that, the old one with the cord, the tangled cord. And that thing just...
I shot a house that had a corded phone on the wall.
Did you?
Oh, I feel like a kid again.
I love it. I want to put one of those up in my house. Anyways, I digress. But yeah, like I remember when you had to call the darn tower and you hope Tony's there and that thing's just ringing and Tony knows you're calling. He's like, I'm not answering this kid's phone call. Like he can do whatever he wants. I have legitimate planes to worry about. Like I'm not worried about him out. So anyways, that's super nice that is in the app now. So air control, Craig.
Air Control is the app.
Air Control. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. If you got a suggestion for an app, let us know. Post in the comments below because you might know something we don't. Clearly, I don't know anything about this. So give us a good suggestion if you have something else.
There you go.
Okay. So you can fly. You have your drone with you. Okay. Another question, Craig. And then let's talk. And then maybe one or two more questions. We'll talk about the impact of what this does to your business.
Right.
Now, you said that you were talking to the homeowner who is also the agent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a big no-no with either talking to just the homeowner or just the agent. Do they have to be the both? Who should and if is the homeowner in the room? Can you give us the breakdown on when not to suggest this or how to go about it that it's appropriate?
So my second upsell this week was that situation exactly. It was a realtor and a homeowner separate. And you never, ever, 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 under any circumstance, make an upsell suggestion in front of the homeowner. Because then you're putting your realtor in a really bad situation. Because if they say no, you will never shoot for that realtor again. I guarantee you. Don't do it.
You will sell one more drone because they have to say yes, and you will be fired almost immediately after you are done.
And blackballed from the brokerage probably as well, because they're going to talk. They're going to talk.
And I guess, so we know that, Craig, but why is that? So just like our client, their client, what is that? Why can't, and I had good intentions. The homeowner's there. I was excited about telling them of the drone. Like, why would I not want to say that in front of the homeowner?
Well, I mean, again, you're cornering the realtor in front of their client. The homeowner is not your client. The realtor is your client. And your whole goal is you want to add value to their business. You want to grow their business. And you don't want to undermine what they may have already agreed to with their seller. We don't know the conversation they've had as far as the terms of the contract and what marketing they've promised and et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Have that conversation off to the side when the seller's not around. Let them make that decision under a zero pressure situation. And then let them surprise the homeowner with the added value that the realtor is going to provide for them. You want the realtor to look good, right? Mm-hmm. The more you do to make them look awesome in their seller's eyes, the more they're going to like you because you're helping them grow their business. That seller is going to be surprised with, hey, and you're adding drone also? I love you, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor, and I'm going to refer you to my friends. Our whole goal is we want to get them referrals. So don't put them in a situation where it's awkward.
Yeah, that's such good advice, Craig. And a few things that Craig said, just to unpack here, is don't ever assume that you know that situation.
Right.
Yes, you walk into most real estate transactions and that listing agent is making about 3%. Give or take a point or two. And the selling agent, well, it's kind of the buyer's agent changing, but for the most part, you're walking in, you know that there's about 6% that's given of commission and they're going to split it in some way. But don't assume that this agent's not doing them a favor, hasn't taken already too big of a discount. Mm-hmm. You just don't know the situation. And when you walk in and assume that this situation is the same as 99% of the other ones, that's when you are doing a disservice to your client who's the realtor. And thus that realtor sees you as not a part of their team because you would do something that doesn't align with their team. And another thing that Craig said is your goal is to get that client, that agent, more business. If you make your agents money, make them look good, bring value to their team, they will stay with you. Okay. Now that's one important thing that I want to stress. It's not if you are the cheapest real estate photographer, they will stick with you. And I think as we start a business, and I struggle with this a lot, is I wanted to keep giving cheaper, and that's a bad word. I wanted to keep giving cheaper prices. And I did it with good intentions that, I just, the drone's only $1,000. And if I sell like 5 upsells, I've already made it back. So why would I charge? I could charge a little less. No, please stop doing that. Mm-hmm. Please stop doing that. Because what you're going to do as you start to scale, well, one, you're going to make no money. And then 2, as you scale, you're going to lose money. That is not sustainable as a business, and nobody wants to race to the bottom.
Preach it, Todd.
I've struggled with this, Craig, because I always thought, hey, let me go to price first. When I shop for things, this is just a trait of my own. I love to shop for things. I love to look at 42 websites, and I like to look at the lowest. Okay. Can I find the lowest? Now I'll tell you, I typically don't order the lowest because it's that sketch website. Okay. Yeah. So I've learned, I've ordered it before, and you get an empty box from China. You're like, oh, that's not what I ordered. So, but I love the thrill of finding it. Mm-hmm. I love to think that I can find something, I can go on, I can get a great deal. But there's a saying. So have any of you watched People's Court? And again, I'm aging
you're aging yourself there.
Jeez, oh, Pete's Craig. Y'all, just give me a minute just to recollect myself. I don't know why I do this.
Todd needs more caffeine is what's happening right
probably
now.
Don't, but okay. So People's Court, not Judge Wapner. I remember Judge Wapner. Judge Million. Okay, you remember Judge Million?
That one.
She was after Wapner.
Okay, so I remember Wapner.
Okay, well, you just age yourself more than me because I remember the newer one.
See, I'm older than you, though, Todd. I am one of the senior members of your team.
Oh, I don't even know where to go with that. I'm going back to People's Court. So, and she had a saying. So Judge Millian had a saying, and she said it in Spanish, and I can't say it in Spanish. I don't remember what it was, but basically. Long story long is, that's a Nick Kellis phrase, but sometimes the cheap ends up expensive. Mm. What do you mean? What did she mean by that? Sometimes when you get it, go.
I have a perfect example for this. Okay.
Yes, give it.
Todd, I am one of the most unhandy guys in the world, but I will try and fix something myself in my home. Okay. And I end up botching the job and then having to hire somebody. So I've bought the materials. I've spent my time trying to do it myself. Right? Like a realtor might try and take their own photos.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I end up having to hire a professional anyway to fix the mess that I just created that if I had just hired them in the first place.
Exactly.
My wife just shakes her head. She's like, Craig, would you just hire somebody?
And that is what can happen to cheapen into the expensive. So let's not race to the bottom, and let's sell value in our services because there is value. Yeah. You just have to understand where the realtor is going to use it. And if you're pitching to a realtor that, hey, I'm going to help you sell this listing really well, and it's going to go for, it's going to go really quick and get more eyeballs on your property, you're selling something they don't need. They don't really need that right now. Yeah. They need more listings. They need to understand how that can market their business, their real estate media business, not this one transaction.
Right.
So yeah, you did a really good job with selling the value there. And sorry, I've gone so far down this tangent that I got to work my way back. So we were basically talking about not to suggest the drone upsell in front of the homeowner. Okay, because that's not your client. That's your client's client. That's the realtor's client. So, we've actually learned the hard way. So again, telling you from experience that you don't want to suggest that in front of a homeowner. So, okay, cool, Craig. So you have this happen, and the way that. So let me give a little insight back to the Friday meeting. So Craig kind of pitches, he's like, hey, it's not a real big win, but I'm kind of happy. I had 2 appointments this week where I suggested a Arial Silver, and they upgraded it, and it was great to have those 2 add-ons. And Craig kind of undersold it because that's just Craig, and he's very humble and unlike me, not outwardly, I don't know, insert a whatever you want, Craig, but he's humble and I'm not as much. But, and so Steve, so Steve took a minute and he did a few calculations. And what did Steve then bring up, Craig?
Well, he brought up what impact that had on the average sales price for the total number of shoots. For, say, I had done that in August, what that would have done to our average sale price per shoot for the month. And what was it? Something like $3 or something increase in our average sale price for every job that month.
Yeah, a little over $3 per job is what it increased your average sale or average order value.
Yeah.
So,
which kind of blew our minds when we thought about that, because I didn't think of breaking it down that way.
Yeah, because if you think about, so you don't necessarily need to move your average order value a whole lot to add up to a lot of money. So for example, let's just do it with big numbers because it's more fun. So for us at Wow, we're going to do 12,000. We're going to do over 12,000, but let's use the 12,000 and say at the end of the year, we've increased our average order value by $3. That same $3, Craig, for every one of those shoots. That's $3 times 12,000 shoots. The quick math on that is $36,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And you know what that is? That's about pure profit.
Yeah.
That's about pure profit. And you just had to move that needle $3. That was 2 drone upsells in a week. Okay. And your numbers are going to be completely different. So don't, if you sell 2 drones and you come back to me like, hey, I didn't make $36,000, your math is different than my math. So just a disclaimer there. But you only have to move the needle a little bit for average order value and also market share. So those are 2, and we won't talk about market share this week, go back in another podcast, but those are 2 variables or 2 metrics that you only have to move them a little bit and they can make a big impact.
Yeah, just watch for the little things in your shoots. Get to know your realtors, know what they're good at, know what they need help with. One more example. I didn't get the upsell this week, but we're going to talk, and I think I'm going to have it moving forward. One of my realtors, she started using Kubicasa.
Okay.
She learned about it at her brokerage.
Oh, so she has the app on her phone and she's like, I'm going to scan. Okay, perfect.
Because, it's free for her,
Sure.
if you do that light package. So I see her going around this massive house. This was a 4,000 square foot house, massive to us compared to our normal average square footage in my market. And she looks a little flustered, like she's not super comfortable with it. She's older, but she's doing a good job. I said, I'm trying to figure this out. I said, just make sure you scan the outside walls first and then go to the inside. Yep. I'll make sure. Hopefully this works. She just wasn't real confident. And she makes the offhanded comment, you don't happen to do this, do you? I said, actually, we do. Okay. Yeah, we can do that for you. She goes, oh, well, let's talk. She has other more important things to do than walk around and spend, 10 minutes, 15 minutes even scanning this house when she could be chatting up the home seller who was also there at the appointment, engaging in revenue producing activities. Hire that out. Even if it's going to cost her versus it being free, what's her return on investment and how much, better is she going to look in her seller's eyes? And she doesn't have to walk around the house trying to figure out if this app's going to work for her or not.
I love that, Craig. I didn't even know we didn't discuss that prior to, but I love that example because so Kubicasa is great. They support photographers, but they're also, just to be transparent, they are selling to our clients. They are trying to sell their service of floor plan. They're in with MLSs, and that is one of their channels that they're going after. And honestly, if I own Kubicasa, I'd probably do that too. It's a huge company, and the people have been great there. We've been working with them. We just integrated Kubicasa, so it'll automatically create a draft for you and import back into Spiro. So we love them, but that's part of their business model. And I know when I found this out, I was first a little perturbed, like, okay, so you're selling to realtors, but then thinking about it a little bit, like that exact situation that Craig, like, are realtors going to scan their own houses? Some will. Some always will. Some will take their own photos. Some will try to do their own video. That is just a given. You have that in anything that's bought or sold. You have some people that try to do it. Craig tries to fix his own sink, as do I. I do that too, Craig. And then we hire a plumber.
Right.
And that's no different. Okay. She tried to do her own floor plan, realized she's not fixing that sink. It's still leaking. Oh, Craig, can you fix the sink? Oh yeah, I sure can. I got that thing right on my phone.
So yeah, just like Todd said, moving the needle just a little bit, you might think it's not going to have a major impact, but it could increase your average sales price, which when you extrapolate that over a year, how much more profit are you bringing to your company? Yeah, so huge impact, little effort.
Yeah, it really is. Craig, let's do some quick math and then we can wrap it here. But I just want to make sure that if people are sitting out there like, well, how did you do that math? How did you get the $3? It's actually quite simple. So let's say that in 1 week, you have done an upsell of $300. So say your drone was 150, 149 times 2, and say that's $300. So you have increased your revenue by $300. You haven't increased your average order value by $300. You've increased your revenue. What you have to do to understand how that impacts your number of shoots is you take that $300. Okay, so I'm in my calculator. You can pull your calculator up. If you're driving, don't open your calculator. $300 divided by, let's say you divide it by the number of shoots that month. So let's say you did 80 shoots that month. Okay, just 20 a week, 4 weeks. So you take 300 divided by 80, and that is 3.75. That is the increase of your average of those upgrades drone to your average order value for that month of business. Okay, so take the upgrade amount and divide it by the number of shoots for that month, and that's what you have moved the needle for your average order value.
I was reading through one of the Facebook groups for real estate media, and there was a newer person that just started their business, I think in the last, it was either 6 months or a year, and having a fantastic results for his business. And somebody asked, what's the percentage of, products or services that you provide, in terms of what he's selling? And it was mostly photos and drone, and video was like, I think he said like 5 or 10% of what he did. And I thought, man, if you just start selling video, providing video, do you realize how much more even you'll be doing? And it's not that much harder to add to your services.
But Craig, you gotta find a video editor, right?
You do. Oh, wait, I know of one. That makes it really, really simple.
Yeah, maybe I set that one up. Honestly, so I'm pitching Spiro again, and you don't have to be a Spiro user to use it, but we've created that logic-based video editor. We do video on 80% of our shoots. So just do that math. If you're not doing video right now, and you could add video to 80% of your shoots. Okay, so if you do 1,000 shoots a year and you're going to do 800 videos, sell it for $100 at a low end. Okay, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, with minimal editing cost, overhead cost to that.
So we call it the Merge Fleet. You can find out more at Spiro.media about the Merge Fleet. If you're in Spiro, the left-hand icon on the left is Merge Fleet. We have a full training course. It's free. You can use it, send it to your photographers. We'll train them on how to shoot it. You upload that thing in there. It spits out a video in about 20 minutes, and it's what we use. We do almost 10,000 videos a year. So right. We would not be at the level we're at without video.
Right.
So shameless plug. If you're not doing video, that might be one of your gaps for this off season, and it might move the needle the furthest along by putting some time into figuring out video.
Right. And top producing agents, they're looking for ways to engage online. And all the algorithms push video. It's really a no-brainer these days.
It is.
So anyway, the power of upselling, and something you can do on site, even spur of the moment, as long as it's not in front of the home seller. Just think about how you can do that in this as we approach off season, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. Think about what kind of impact could your business have or do just by upselling a few things a week.
Yeah, it all adds up, and don't underestimate it. It's going to add up. And after 12 months, you're going to see, if you're like, I just feel like I hit a plateau. This is one very simple thing. This is going to move the needle. You're going to get off that plateau.
And don't feel the pressure of it. Don't feel like you're trying to push products or services. Again, look for the opportunities that make sense and just approach it as a consultant. Don't approach it as a salesperson. You can't sell a salesperson, and our clients are salespeople. Although some would argue that they're not, that they're also consultants. I actually had that conversation with a realtor last week, Todd. He's like, I despise it when people tell me I'm a salesperson as a realtor. I'm not. I'm a consultant. That's fair. That's fair. I get it. I say the same thing. But you can't sell a salesperson. So just be transparent. Approach it as, hey, just looking to add value, but zero pressure. It's just an idea I had. I've seen it help others. We want to do the best job we can for you, and leave it at that. Let them decide. So, all right. Well, Todd, thank you. Another great week on the podcast. And we just appreciate you guys, again, taking the time to listen, to watch, and always enjoy your questions. If you do have a question that you'd like answered about the business of real estate photography and videography, please drop us a line, hello@spiro.media, and we'd love to address that in future episodes. Well, that's going to wrap it up this week. Again, as things start to slow down a little bit, possibly for your season, just take some time, breathe, be thankful for the blessings that you've been given, and have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.